Okay, hey guys, welcome to the second review. It might be a shorter review than normal. I'm pretty ill at the moment, but I still wanted to get this out on a Monday, so I'm filming this on the Sunday. But yeah, I'm pretty ill, so I'm going to try and make this one a little bit shorter than the last one. But hopefully I'll still get everything across that I wanted to talk about. This is a Bandai Creations figure. It's actually the second Bandai Creations figure I've had, but it's the nicer of the two, I think. So I wanted to talk about this one. I actually got this during this week that's just passed now. It was a birthday gift from a family member. So first of all, let's just have a look at the packaging on the back. Godzilla. At the bottom there you've got Godzilla and King Caesar copyright marks, all your legal information, etc. As I collect them all. Up here you can see it says Godzilla 60th anniversary. This particular line is from 2014, but these are all reissues. I know that this King Caesar was originally released in 2013. This is a reissue. I don't know off the top of my head when this was originally released, but I'm going to take a guess at 2005, and I'm not sure about Millennium. But anyway, let's turn them around. Today's figure is the Bandai Creations 2014 release of King Caesar. So like I said, this King Caesar was originally released in 2013. This is a reissue. And this is actually a resculpt, and it's, to the best of my knowledge, the first new sculpt in the Bandai Creations set for a long time. For years and years and years, Bandai Creations were just re-releasing and reissuing the same sculpts. But this is their first sculpt in a long while, and to be fair, this sculpt is pretty damn good. As I normally start with the sculpt, let's have a look at that. So let's take a look at King Caesar's face to begin with. It's very, very nicely detailed. You know, they've got the mouth spot on. They've got his big bulbous nose spot on. His brow ridges and his sort of crown type thing there. It's all really, really accurate. One thing I will say, as I've just remembered, this is the ShodaiShisa suit. So this is the suit from Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. So the hair is very nicely done. It's got like the swivels in the hair. In the Final Wars suit, the swivels were actually gold, I think. Like pieces of golden jewellery stuck to him, but in the original suit it was hair swizzles, and they've captured that really nicely. They've captured all the flowing hair actually really, really nicely. You can see there all the detail in the sculpt there. If we tilt him back on the side of his head, you can see the rest of his sort of crown of horns. His ears are very, very nice. His skin's got that sort of brick-like texture that Caesar had. I was never quite sure whether it was brick or like scales, but I always thought it was like a brick type substance, which would be quite cool. You know, it gives him a sort of semi-man-made look to him. He's got the tufts of fur on his knees there and on his ankles. The feet are very nicely detailed. The bottom of his feet are not detailed, but do have the company information. The tufts of hair on his arse, and the tufts of hair on his tail are very, very nicely done. The tail itself has got some detailing on it, and the hands and the underneath the hands are nicely done as well. So sculpting is actually fantastic on this. This is just, I don't know, it's just so good. And for them to be reissuing the same sculpts for years, and then to release a brand new sculpt is something. But you know, for it to be King Caesar of all monsters, like you might think it'd be a more popular monster like Godzilla or Rodan or Ghidorah, but King Caesar. But I mean, I like this because King Caesar is one of my sort of 3 or 4 favorite Godzilla kaiju of all time. I'm a huge King Caesar fan, so it was really, really good to see them releasing a new King Caesar figure, because the only other King Caesar figures I've seen are the Garage Plus, the X Plus Garage ones, which are a little bit too expensive for me at the time, and the regular Bandai King Caesar, which was just a terribly, terribly sculpted figure. So, yeah, sculpt on this is incredibly impressive, and actually one of the best things about this figure. So paint-wise, again, very good. You've got, as you can see, the paint detailing and the texturing on the fur is really nice. Gives it a nice shaded look. Really captures the amount of, you know, thickness and the matting in the hair. That's really, really nice. The face has got like a lot of shading. A lot of the paint job in this figure is shading, and it gives it an almost like cell shaded look to it, which is weird. You know, it's hard to explain, but it looks almost cell shaded to me. But yeah, the shading continues all over the body. From what I can tell, I think the base color is this brown. I think the base paint is, you know, this brown, and then everything else is paint. So you've got white on the nails and the teeth, which are all individually painted, and the toenails as well. You've got red for the eyes, well, sort of orangey red with black pupils. You've got blue for the gem in the forehead, which I believe may have actually been green in the film, but I'm not quite sure off the top of my head. But still, it looks good. And then all the hair is like a blonde color with like this dark brown shading. I think it gives it a really nice look. It gives it a sort of semi-realistic, sort of cell-shaded look, which is quite nice. All the fingernails and toenails as well are like dirtied, but in a deliberate way to give it a bit more of a like chipped feel to it. And yeah, it's really, really nice paint job. I would say the paint job's not quite as good as the sculpting, but either way, the paint job is again one of the best I've seen in a recent Godzilla figure, and definitely one of the best I've seen in my personal experiences of Bandai Creations. So yeah, not quite a quick segment on the paint job there, but it is a very good paint job. It's just not quite a lot to say about the actual paint job itself. So third, I look at articulation. Now this figure has quite decent articulation and a couple of sort of hidden points of articulation. So first of all, I'm going to look at the tail. The tail is articulated here, and it goes 360 degrees. The head is not articulated, but the arms are, but here, not at the shoulders. So the arms go out like that. I imagine they would go 360 degrees, but they're a bit stiff, and I don't want to force them. But yeah, they can comfortably go like that. This arm can go comfortably to about there. There's articulation here at the waist, which is 360 degrees. And the legs, both jointed at the hip, and will go 360 degrees. Now, that's all the standard articulation. Fair enough, that's pretty good articulation. It's not too stiff. This arm is a little stiff, but I think that might just be this one particular figure. But the leg articulation is not too stiff, and the other arm isn't, and the waist certainly isn't. And the tail is nice and flowing. But what is very interesting about this figure is the two hidden points of articulation, the ears. Now, I'm not sure whether this is something that's meant to happen, or whether this is like glue seals that have just been broken, but the ears actually twist up, which is quite nice. Obviously in the film his ears were up and down at various points, so I imagine it might be intentional, but even if it is a glue seal problem, it's worked out nicely because the ears are articulated, and I think that's a really nice little goofy bit of articulation, and I think that's perfect for a sort of slightly more goofy kaiju like King Caesar. Now, this figure is available on Amazon brand new from anywhere between £13 and £36 depending on seller and location. The cheaper ones, the 12, 13, sort of 15 quid ones tend to be located in Germany, I've noticed, and the sort of 21 to £36 range ones seem to be in the US. I'm in the UK, so for buyers in the US that might be cheaper, But for UK sellers, you can find this on Amazon between 13 and 36 quid, I would say, is the bracket. eBay, he does tend to crop up a little bit on eBay, but again, there's no sort of standard price range on eBay, just whatever the seller wants to sell them for. So it's a bit more difficult to give a decent price on eBay, because obviously it's whatever the seller wants it to be. But yeah, you can get this quite easily on Amazon, so that's something. So this King Caesar figure, overall, not only is it one of my favourite Godzilla figures, I think it's one of my favourite Kaiju figures in my whole collection, if not my favourite. The sculpting is fantastic, the paint job is fantastic, and the articulation is nice. It's just a very nice figure, and for it to be the first new sculpt in Bandai Creations for many, many years, I'm so glad it was King Caesar, because King Caesar is one of my favourite Godzilla Kaiju, and it's really been getting on my nerves that there haven't been a decent, affordable figure. As I said, the X Plus figures are decent, very decent actually, but they're quite expensive. And the previous Bandai figure was, I've never liked the previous Bandai King Caesar figure. I thought it was incredibly shoddy. So to see this fantastic sculpt and fantastic paint job is just, it's just incredible, and I'm a huge fan of this figure. So yes, I would recommend this figure to new collectors and to veteran collectors. This figure is fantastic, and it's definitely one of the best Bandai Creations figures I have seen.